Hello and welcome to another English composition video. Today I'm joined by my dog Bentley. He and I are here to talk to you about MLA citation. And this is great because it doesn't matter if you're in my English 101 or my English 102 class. MLA citation rules, the rules are the rules, right? And I'm going to show you how to cite an electronic news article by one author, right? And if you know the principles for that, it's pretty easy to learn the other forms of citation that you need to do. Mostly this video is focused on 101 though, right? Because I'm going to be talking to you all about the rhetorical analysis paper. You got to have citation in there, okay? Because in academia, when you use quotes from a source, which you have to do a rhetorical analysis of Lukianoff, Zimmerman, or Walling, because you're supposed to choose one and only one article to analyze, right? In academia, when you use quotes from a source like that, you have to follow some principles for citation. You have to create a citation for the source on the works cited page, and when you use the quotes in the paper, you have to include what's called an in-text citation. We'll talk about both in this video. So the first thing you should do is you should get your paper in progress pulled up. All right. If you were in one of my in-person classes, you've already got an MLA template set up for this paper. If you're in an online class, there are materials in the modules, including a video that walks you through how to set up the MLA template. So if you don't have this yet set up, go back and watch that video and do that part first. But if you've got the template, then you've got a works cited page at the end. It's got to be the last page of the document. You're not going to have all this. I added this because it's a template for how to create citations for online news sources by one author, right? And so I'll use this to create a sample citation for one of the sources you might use in the paper. If you need additional help beyond the video or it doesn't make sense, obviously you can message me, but there's also how-to citation materials in this week's module materials. Well, let's go ahead and get right into it because I like to keep the videos as short as possible so you'll actually watch them. Okay, let's start with citing this article. Right? Because, most of the paper that you write is going to be about Lukianoff, Zimmerman, or Walling, whichever one you chose. But the introduction has got to have some facts about Charlie Kirk. And, if you're going to provide facts, generally you want them to come from a source as opposed to, things you've heard from people. Right? And so that's why I gave you this article so you could learn more about it. So you want to use a quote or a fact from this article in your intro, your first paragraph. And so that means we got to put this source on the works cited page. Okay, so I'll be jumping back and forth between the article and the citation because I'm going to create a citation for it just like this. Okay, so the first thing is the name. And this one's a little funky because if you look at the top by the title, it says by Associated Press. So that's called a group author. But it doesn't have to be hard. Instead of writing last name, comma, first name, we just type Associated Press. If you're writing your paper about the Walling article, right, the Fox News one, and that's what you're focusing, the rest of the paper on, what goes under last name, first name? Walling, comma, and then his first name, Kevin, right? If you're writing it about Zimmerman, then it goes Zimmerman, comma, Jonathan. Well, I got to be sure I spelled it right. Do that. Names are easy to misspell, and you got to get the spelling right. Okay. Let's go back to the one you got to use in the intro. What's the title? Yep, there it is in bold. I'm going to copy it in there. It's got to be in quotes, right? Now, of course, I can't have the formatting look like that, right? So I'll change it back to Times New Roman, 12-point font. Of course, it's got to be black text. Oops, not highlighted. Oh, geez. I want the text color. There we go. Okay. MLA says you got to capitalize the big words even if the article doesn't. Okay, I'm going to put a period at the end, quotation marks. You see how I'm just following this thing? What is the name of the website? You got it. PBS. Right. If you're not sure, you can always look up here at the very beginning of the URL. That's called the parent page, right? So the website isn't pbs.org, it's just PBS, right? So we'll do PBS, and then look at how it's in slanty text. That's called italics. So I'm going to highlight it and click the I, or you could press Control I. I go kind of fast in videos, but that's because you can pause it and back it up and stuff. What is the name of the publisher? Publisher is who owns the website. It's typically at the bottom of the web page. Okay. And you can find it by looking for the LLC or the little copyright logo, the C with the circle around it. This website has both. So it's News Hour Productions LLC. So I will type exactly that in plain text here. News Hour Productions LLC. Is NewsHour one word? I don't know, man. I gotta check. Yeah, it's one word, the way they wrote it. Then a comma. Okay. If you ever can't find the publisher at the bottom, just leave it out. If the publisher has the same name as the website, do not include it. That's something that the citation machines tend to get wrong. But this does have a publisher. It's NewsHour Productions LLC. That's who owns the content. Date published, usually at the top. We don't care about the time. It's September 15th. But in MLA, it goes day, month, year. So it's 15 Sep 2020. Was it 2025? Yeah, 2025. You see me going back and forth to check. You should do the same thing when you create citations. Okay, the last thing is the web link, which is just the web address, also known as the URL, the Universal Resource Lookup. So click that and hold down Control and C, or you could do right click and copy and then Control V it into the paper, or you could do right click, paste, hit enter. So the link comes through and then put a period at the end. Okay, the citation is almost done. But do you notice how in the sample, the first line is not indented and the subsequent lines are? It's weird. It's like the opposite of a paragraph, right? In a paragraph, you indent the first line and none of the rest, right? You use tab. So then you think, okay, well, I'll just tab this over so it looks like it's supposed to. And you hit tab, and then it moves the top line instead of the second line because it thinks you want a paragraph, right? So here's what you do. Put the cursor here, hit enter, and then tab. This works even in iPads. There's other ways to set up the hang indent. You can do it through the format button, but this works on all devices. Now I'll hit enter and it knows what I want and it moves everything over. Okay. Do you see how that's all lined up like that? And then the author of the article sticks out. We'll see why in a minute. Okay, I'm going to give you one other citation because look at this Lukianoff article. It's in the library database, right? Because New York Times wanted me to pay for it. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get it free for the students. I got it from the library. We'll learn more about library databases another day. The big thing, or one of the big things about library database articles is they give you the citation. And what's really funny is the citation machines get them wrong. They always get the library databases wrong. So you got to click the Cite button. All right. Be sure it says MLA 9th. You're not APA. Copy it. And do you see it's just like what we just did? Name, title, name of the website, and then they just add the name of the database. Everything else is the same. All right, so we're going to paste that in there. Control V. Same thing. I got to create the hanging indent. Okay. So now you've got 2 of the citations done. This thing right here is called the accessed date. That's optional. I encourage students just not to do it. It's the last time you looked at the article. That's not required, so I don't encourage people to do it. Okay, so the idea is you use what we just did to help you learn how to cite. If you're using Zimmerman, this video will help you learn how to cite him. If you're writing about Walling, this video will help you learn how to cite him. If you're writing about Lukianoff, I mean, like, your works cited page is done because you got them both right there. We'll talk briefly about in-text citation because there's a boatload of other stuff about that in the module materials before the papers due. So here's the thing. Let's say that, well, in the intro, you're supposed to explain what happened to Charlie Kirk, and then you introduce the article you chose and explain the main argument. So, as you are explaining what happened to Charlie Kirk, let's say you want to use a quote from the PBS article, right? And so I might say, after I'm doing some explaining of the event, I say, oh, Kirk's assassin was arrested. See, so that's the quote from the article. I pasted it, right? So I'm going to put quotation marks on it because it's not my words. I'll put the 3 dots, which is called an ellipsis because I eliminated some of the sentence. Because short quotes are better than long quotes. Read the module materials to learn more about that. Got to put it back in Times New Roman 12-point font. Okay. So now I use the quotes so the reader realizes, all right, yeah, that's not Jeff's words. Where is it from? I got 2 different sources on the works cited page. I got to show the reader which source it's from. Is it from this article? No, it's from this article. How do I show them it's from that article? I use an in-text citation. And coincidentally, not coincidentally, actually, they created the hanging indent idea because the thing that sticks out is what goes in the parentheses. That's your in-text citation. So here I'm going to put Associated Press, and then the period goes outside the parentheses. If I'm down here and I'm writing about Lukianoff and I say, and after I've introduced him and I say, oh, he uses an example of when he appeals to logos is when he states that, and then I have like some kind of direct quote from him, right? Same kind of thing. Reader sees the quote. Which source is it from? Is it from the AP? No, it's from this one. What do I put in there? Do I put the title? Do I put New York Times? No, I put the thing that sticks out. Last name. Lukianoff. Okay. Do I need a page number? No. If you look at the article, it is not paginated. Okay. Some students are sometimes asked to include paragraph numbers. That's not a required convention, and so I don't ask for that, just the last name. Some students put publication date. Don't do that. that's APA, and we're following MLA conventions, right? This is the easiest part of the paper, really, because it's just following the rules, right? Analytical writing is a bit more challenging than just following the rules. Oh, my computer battery died. I got worried I lost that video, but I think it's still here. All right, so that's essentially it. I mean, there's one other thing I could show you, right? Because there's a couple ways to do in-text citation. This right here is called a parenthetical citation. But there's another way that you can do in-text citation. You could do it like this. Lukianoff appeals to Logos when he points out that direct quote from him. Okay. So look, the standard of in-text citation is that we need the citation in the same sentence as the quote so the reader can find the source on the works cited page. Okay, so when you look at this, is his last name in the same sentence as the quote? It is. Right, so you don't need the parenthetical. Okay, so either one is correct to do, either one is fine. All right, and honestly, you want to get some good practice doing both approaches to in-text citation. I think that's about it for this video, but I just want to be sure you remember that even though I demonstrated this for the Lukianoff article and the PBS article that's written by the group author, Associated Press, these conventions apply to any online news article that's written by one author, right? And so it doesn't, if you're writing about Walling or Zimmerman, you should still be able to come up with a citation. If you need help, though, let me know, because this can be challenging, especially if it's new for you. All right, so, if you have questions, message me at the inbox, or you can stop by during office hours. Just click the link to see when they are. I've got both virtual and in-person ones. I hope you're having a good day. Stay in touch. Let me know how things are going on your paper. Take care.